In the previous episode, we talked about which defensive structures were the most important to protect, and how to organize them into efficient and effective compartments. Now it is time to mix and match these compartments we talked about into a comprehensive and cohesive base design that can defend against all types of attacks. The first thing you want to check for is kill squad value, hero trade-offs, and queen walks. The easiest way to make sure your queen will not be traded off for the enemy's barbarian king is to keep her 3 tiles away from the most exterior wall. This is because the queen will rarely move more than 3 tiles to pursue her target. In regards to queen walks, we have already prevented the usefulness of a queen walk by placing our air defenses towards the exterior portion of the base so that they can reach the healers. It should also be noted that the inner air defenses cannot be reached by the queen. Simply count out the tiles to determine this. The archer queen's range never exceeds more than 5 tile spaces. Lastly, we need to try really hard to minimize the value the opponent's kill squad can achieve. We do this by forcing them into a predicament. Do they go first at the archer queen and air defenses and then try to lalo the upper half of the base where the wizard towers can cause some trouble? Or do they go directly at the wizard towers and then deal with the archer queen later with the assistance of a rage and skeleton spell? We can see that by limiting the value that a kill squad can achieve, we've already eliminated popular attacks like Gobolalo and Govalo. The very next thing I like to consider is the effectiveness of air attacks, or in other words, defending against Lalo. The best way to defend against a Lalo attack is by placing your air defenses away from your other air targeting defenses. This is to prevent the Lava Hound from simply sitting on an air defense while simultaneously removing all fire away from the opponent's balloons. This is also why we have our air defenses in pairs. The air defenses will work in harmony to pop those Lava Hounds even faster than one air defense could, and with the assistance of nearby black air mines, this can cause devastation for the Lalo attacker. Likewise, we like to place red air mines next to wizard towers and archer towers to help them deal with the balloons. And finally, I like to place both my skeleton traps to air. Lalo army compositions are some of the most devastating available to attackers right now in the current meta, and therefore require special attention to properly fight them off. Paired air defenses are not the only configuration defenders have schemed up to fight off those 3-star Lalo attacks. Other popular air defense placements include putting them at the corners of your base or all of them at 1/2 of your base. And every time you find your base getting 3-star to a Lalo attack, you can simply just put those expos to air and ground mode to add to the overall DPS your base can dish out to those air troops. And finally, we need to have a game plan to fight off those ground attacks. We already have accounted for healer-based attack strategies such as Witch Slap and HGHB, but how will we account for hog-based attacks? First, it should be mentioned that hog attacks are rarely unaccompanied by some sort of a kill squad. If it is small, then the opponent will surely go at the Archer Queen and Bomb Tower to cross those objectives out. Then the Wizard Towers will force a heal spell. This is obviously not a convincing reason why this base will defend against hog attacks, but under these restrictions, it will make the opponent's attack predictable, ultimately allowing us to place traps to dismantle their hog attack. Giant bombs and spring traps are the ultimate counter of hog attacks. We've already committed our skeleton traps to air, so we're going to need great trap placement to fight off those increasingly buffed and popular hog attacks. First, notice how all of the spring traps are away from the kill squad entry. We do not want to waste these traps on golems or the barbarian king. Second, notice how the spring traps are always between defenses. This will ensure a pack of hogs will be sprung off as they travel from one defense to the next one. Lastly, we need to place our giant bombs. I personally like to place them next to expos or wizard towers. These high hit point structures causes the hogs to get stuck at these spots. It is for this reason why giant bombs can await a clumped up group of hogs for maximum damage. The last thing we need to consider are mass Valk and P.E.K.K.A based attacks, which are certainly less effective than the more popular hog based attacks such as Stone Hobor or Govaho. Still, to an unsuspecting base, these troops can create an unexpected headache. It sounds silly to say this, but the truth of the matter is that Valks and P.E.K.K.A.s need the assistance of hogs and balloons if there are too many walls in their way. So the biggest counter to spam-style ground attacks are walls. The minimum number of walled-off compartments you should have in your base is 11, 13 to be safe. And if we count the number of compartments here in this specific layout, we can see that 15 will be more than enough compartments to secure safety from Valks and P.E.K.K.A.s. I promise you guys a 2-part series that outlines the fundamental principles that go into any good base design. Well, get ready for part 3 because I still have some lingering afterthoughts that I still feel are basic enough for this introductory series. I hope you guys are learning more and more about base design, and I can't wait to share the final installment in the series.